So loose is basically like you get a book and like you open in the book and you're the story basically. You get to write it from beginning to end. See, you starting to like this turn. See, look, Sleepy, look, you were so in denial. See, you see what happens when you start touching grass? Everybody gives Sleepy a round of applause. Touch the fucking grass, dog. Yo, what's going on, everybody? We are back, and you already know I'm about to tell you guys right now. Support your boy, okay? Support him. All right, so today's video, we went over the max get loose or tight type of fighting game. So loose basically is like the freedom, the craziness that fighting games can get, actually. And the tightness is basically like how strict it feels and like very straightforward and, you know, easy to understand, but like not a lot of like crazy stuff going on. So before we jump into the video, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and let me know how you guys feel about this take. Let's jump into the video.
We can make a tier list of the loosest ass fighting games. We need to do this. We need to put this loose shit into the ground. I gave it life. Now I'm going to take it away.
Damn, that sounds like a parent right there. Oh my god.
A bunch of the ones we know about, right? This is pretty good, right? We don't need a loose fighting game. Is a game that gives players a ton of freedom. Your ability to do crazy shit is off the goddamn charts, almost to a disastrous degree. There's way too much looseness. And then if
you don't like the word loose,
you have games that are super.
Come on, bro. Y'all never heard of that song? Watch me get loose with it. Get loose. Get loose. Get loose, get loose. Dude, you know what I'm about to start doing now? Yo, he woke up and got loose with it. Yo, that song was godlike. Come on, bro. Yo, he woke up and got loose with it. Jab into a TOD. He got loose.
Wait, not the tendies. Right, I'm sorry. It's not the tendies. Damn, my answer is Hokuto no Ken. Is Fist of the North Star.
Yes.
I had to dig it up. It's in here though. Bam. The loosest ass game. Like if we're gonna talk about this game is
bro, that game.
Loose.
Can you imagine can you imagine this Fist of the North Star game was like the Strive right now with Rollback? I promise you, nobody in this chat will be playing this game. Everybody will be coming at me being like, "Yo, Kizzie, how do you feel about Fist of the North Star?"
And the
Yo, that's my boy Kane, by the way. So Kane is actually from SoCal. And he was like one of the few players in America that can actually fight the people overseas. And I remember Kane because I used to go to a local with him, and he will always carry this PS2, and he will plug in into the fatty back TV, and he will literally play Street Fighter 4. He'll get eliminated in the tournament, and he'll never be sad because you know why? He brought his PS2, and it has Fist of the North Star. So he will literally sit in training mode for that game for 8 hours. He deserves to be in winners finals right now.
Let's go to the exact opposite. And a game that is crazy tight, right? That is almost the exact opposite.
Fantasy Strike?
You want a game that is super tight in the way it's supposed to be played? Is this game Fantasy Strike? And people actually like that about it, right?
I don't think this game is bad, but aesthetically, I don't like this game. Has like that is not a mobile game. That is on your console, Sleepy. That is on your PlayStation. You look at your PlayStation, you ask your PlayStation, may I download
it? We don't want to get too loose with this loose definition. Flowchart.
I like that. You want to get too loose with the loose definition?
Right? There is. You know where I actually put MVC2? Right around here. I think that's a hella loose game because there's actually a lot of consideration put into the fact. Right?
I think
there's actually
because there's only like 7 viable characters.
A loose game. There's a lot of creative things you can do with the top tiers in that game, right? Sure, but a lot of people forget about the rest of the cast.
Yeah, see, I was about to say
the cast that really.
Dude, Marvel 2 was literally designed by like 7 characters. You are not going to wake up in the morning being like, "Yo, I'm about to be Justin One with my homie Roll, my homie Mega Man, and Silver Samurai." That you need to go ahead and just jump in the water and just lay in the water floating for about 30 minutes and reflect on that.
Yeah, this is a big one for me personally. It's going up. I think MK11 is pretty tight, man.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. That's the funniest part.
Goes right pop up.
So basically tight means like strict.
Man, like,
so loose is basically like you get a book and like you open in the book and you're the story basically. You get to write it from beginning to end. See, you starting to like this turn. See, look, Sleepy, look, you were so in denial. See, you see what happens when you start touching grass? I know it's 12 o'clock probably over there. See? I knew it, man. I knew eventually it was going to come into fruition. I'm proud of you, Sleepy. Everybody give Sleepy a round of applause. Touch the fucking grass, dog. Let's go.
Faster doesn't make it looser. I kind of disagree. I kind of think you crank up the speed in some games, that will naturally loosen a game up, at least to me.
Huh. That's a good way of looking at it. Do you guys think speed makes games more looser? To some degree, I agree with that. It definitely encouraged going out the box. Yeah. The thing is about speed, though, it's like for a visual audience enjoyer, it's very hard to see what's going on because everything is so fast, right? You know what? I'm just gonna put the casuals on blast. Look, the people who watch fighting games and be like, I don't know what's going on, it's too fast. You watch Dragon Ball Z, you watch Goku and Vegeta teleport all over the goddamn place. You didn't see all the punches and kicks, but you watched that whole season. You watched the whole Boo saga. You watched the whole f***ing Cell saga. So you're not gonna sit here and look in my face and tell me you're not gonna watch the fighting game saga, okay? Yeah, I'm calling you Krillin. Now, Kizzie, you know DBZ standing for 30 episodes first. Damn. That is true.
MK9, which is the tendies, again, let's remind you, go like right here, a little bit above.
Damn, MK Tendies?
Some characters like Cyrax, right? Cyrax is fucking nuts. Mobility is a big part of how loose a fighting game can be. How much can you pilot your character?
That is true. So I guess when you have a lot of mobility options, it definitely creates more looseness. And I think a lot of people felt like about the air dash change from Strive. Like when the air dashes was like the original, and then they changed it to like, what is it, a trampoline? They like, now you have trampolines now. So everybody has like a trampoline. Although I think the dash made it easier for new players to react to dash-ins and stuff like that, which is good. But the problem is companies always have this problem where they do everything right for new players to get it, but then they use that same formula when you put a tour over it and you make it competitive, then those problems come out. It's not a bad thing. It's bad when you try to make it competitive. This has been the issue that a lot of companies are like running into, which is why it takes like 3 years for a good game to come out. The animation is godlike though, and actually prevent characters like Gio being an air dash simulator. Bro, you don't think Giovanna is a ground dash simulator? I feel like Giovanna is a Mishima.
Tell me if that's inaccurate. I don't think KOF 13 is as crazy as a Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Fairly crazy in what they allow characters.
Okay, so I agree with this until you start putting the $15 in. When you put the $15 characters in, like when you put Mr. Karate, hella loose. EXKO, hella loose. But I kind of feel like 13 is a little bit on hella loose though, in my opinion. Just hella loose. Like even the low tier characters, they had like crazy stuff. Like Raiden, my man literally, he'll jab you, and if he was charging, he'll hit you and he do like 90%. And he hit you again, and he'll kick you again, and you dead. But then again, when I think about it, all the stuff that you could do in that game, you needed to have Neo meters. So I feel like I guess when you have the Neo bar, it was kind of loose. It's hard.
Dragon Ball FighterZ? Ooh, that's not bad. Dragon Ball FighterZ Season 1 is such a different game to the latest season. DBFZ Season 1. I think Season 1 is kind of controlled, man. Like,
I think Dragon Ball is kind of tight, but I felt like in the beginning of the game for the first season, it was definitely tight. I mean, it was literally Android 16, Adult Gohan, Cell, Vegeta, Bardock. And then at the end of it, it got kind of tight with Piccolo. It got kind of tight with Piccolo, Goku.
2015 Tekken 7 actually like goes down here. Yeah. I can't even tell you how much I heard of people that were pissed off about
I think Dragon Ball still kind of tight though.
I'm sorry, 2016 maybe, the arcade launch Tekken 7. I think T7, in terms of how many options you has as a character, how you have to approach the game's mobility, there are so many ways you can play that game. That there's so many different things that can happen to get good or bad at Tekken, that the variety, like what makes a good Tekken player to an average Tekken player, is so huge because of how much understanding you need to have. Maybe we'll just go down to here. This might be a hot take. First level
No,
loose.
I think
right?
that's fine.
First level
I think
loose
loose is
Doesn't get that
okay.
crazy.
I don't
Sort
think
of
that's
in the
hot.
boat
I
that
actually think
Tekken's kind
it's
of a
loose.
loose game. I think CVS2 actually goes under a hella loose category, right? I don't know if it's a mega loose situation. They really put things in there by design. The game is tight because your options within a single game are limited. That's a good consideration. You're sort of locked into your team by what groove you choose. That is a good point. I think the size and the options presented in the game make it kind of loose to me.
That's true. I agree with that. I actually think like CVS2 is hella loose. I don't think it's mega loose. Because again, when you pick a groove, you're kind of locked on a specific character that's good at that groove. So that's crazy.
A game like Guilty Gear Xrd, like let's just say all the Xrds all the way to Rev 2. Is this a crazy hot take compared to all the rest of the games we have up here? Is this a crazy hot take? Is that something that I'm going to get removed from the community for? To me, that game feels kind of loose. There's a lot of crazy you can do in it. The game essentially boils down to YRC Oki stuff. I get it. And here's the next thing. You know what would make this game kind of tight? If YRCs, you can only be done twice. Instead, it costs 25% your tension gauge, and it's all the time. Almost to a detriment, right? In some ways, that almost is like a detriment to the game in some way. For me, it's higher than...
I actually think Xrd is hella loose, to be honest with you. Johnny is hella loose. I say that. It's still played as intended by the devs. So you're saying the devs... So you're looking into my eyes and you're telling me that the devs created Elfelt to unblockable loop me? Is that what you're saying? You saying the devs wanted that? Yes.
I think that means that Guilty Gear Strive is kind of tight. I feel like Guilty Gear Strive is kind of tight. I don't think it's tight. I think it's kind of tight. However, right, something that loosens up the game a bit, I think the RC system is so much better than what's in this game, right? I think the mechanics are so much more focused and more intuitive. And not intuitive mean like easier, like they're just better. Like things just feel better to do in Strive core mechanically. They also opened up the opportunity to do different things with it than the previous game.
So I'm going to say I think Strive, when it first launched, like the original first launch, like when the game first came out, pretty tight. I feel like the patch that came out recently that made everybody have like heavy slash into JD made the game tight. The game only gets kind of tight when you get meter. When you have meter, the game becomes kind of tight, but the moment you lose meter, if you're not playing the top tiers, your character is tight. But when you play like Ram, kind of tight. Nago or Yuki, kind of tight. Leo, kind of tight. Soul, kind of tight. Happy Chaos, loose. But when you playing like mid-tier characters, you definitely in the tight section. Do I think the RC system feels better in Strive? I do. Do I think the RC system is better than YRC? I think YRC as a newcomer is pretty like frustrating, right? Yeah, you got people out here like flying like a kite. Yellow Roman Castle, like it slowed down from full screen. But I think once you learn YRC, I don't think YRC is as bad as what we're having Strive when you're in a BRC. When you're in a BRC, that's actually worse than YRC. Because if somebody YRC from full screen, you're not going to die. If somebody YRC up your close, the moment they hit you, it goes away. BRC, you get hit, that timer is still ticking. So for the people who complain about YRC, I'm not saying Max in particular, but I'm talking about people. I think BRC is actually as bad as YRC. Actually, I think BRC is more worse because there's no damage scaling. So like when you hit somebody on BRC, it's almost as if like there's no scaling from Roman Cancel. At least Yellow RC, if you hit them, you at least got damage. You at least lose damage off of it, right? So even though it was broken, you lost a little bit of damage. Granted, there's characters like Johnny that don't care. But do I think the Roman Cancel system is better in Strive? Absolutely. But it also has a lot of problems too. But I think it's better in my opinion. I just think the problem is with the Roman Cancel is like, I think YRC is just trash in Strive. It's so garbage. Like doing it is like you're giving up the round. It's so bad. Like it's crazy how like all these like offensive YRCs, like you don't got any like meter punishment or anything like that. The moment you YRC in Strive, the game is like, wait, you're trying to escape? Yeah, honestly, just pick a 3-framer and mash that instead of YRC. I agree, Crywolf.
I actually think Third Strike gets stuck under a hella loose situation. Most Street Fighters are kind of tight to pretty tight. You think Street Fighter 3 is kind of tight? I think yes, depending on the character, is a wide variety of how loose the game can be. Right?
Yeah, that's like Strive. Like the top tiers
and
are
granted,
like
there is a good
loose,
way you can do it.
And like mid
but there's
tiers
also
is like
five
tight.
other ways. First couple years of Street Fighter 5, tight to almost a detriment. Certain things played out were identical, like most of the time, player to player, and especially with the consideration of the betas.
Bro, I feel like that's like Strive to a sense, though. But I don't think Strive is pretty tight. I just think it's tight.
There's no way Marvel 3 isn't hella loose. It's hella loose. UMBC 3 is a game where you just get a ton of options per character. You get 3 characters that have a ton of options that do stuff. Man, actually, I think a couple of things put it over this barrier. I think X Factor, core mechanics alone. There's just, you do all the stuff that you can in Marvel 2, but essentially more in this game. The reason why Marvel vs. Capcom games are looked upon from the community as being something different. There's a reason like why Marvel is Marvel, right?
I didn't get
and by that same definition, I think that this goes here as well. They give you a tag system that allows for anything.
I do agree.
Like,
the fact you can just do a special move and tag.
What?
It's crazy.
This is my loose to tight fighting game tier list. This is the tier list that will be defined from this point forward.
Damn.
I've ran out of stamina. I am officially done with this topic. I don't want to ever talk about how something is loose or tight ever again. The only time you get to use the word loose and tight to describe anything again is if you make your own tier list. Because from this point forward, until that happens, this is the defining standard that will bring us into the future. God bless America. What?
Damn, Grand Blue Versus is pretty tight. Grand Blue Versus and Dive Kick? I think this is tight. This is tight. Dive Kick on the same level as these games is kind of hard. I don't know. I think Dive Kick is super tight.
And
time to make my own list. We're gonna make my own list when I get back. That was pretty good. Do I agree with the X third placement? Yeah, I think it's loose. I was thinking mega loose, but I said there's certain characters that are mega loose. Not everybody. I would change a couple of things. You know, I put Strive in a little bit of super tight. I don't think Strive is gonna. I think Strive is gonna get tight maybe next year. I hope so. Please, please. Guilty Gear. We need to get Guilty Gear loose. You know, loose Wayne. Loose Wayne is pretty good, dog.